Well, the Supreme Court, in an unsigned order, essentially allowed a lower court order that said, from Judge Boasberg, now you got to bring that deported El Salvador illegal alien back to the United States, can't remain in that supermax prison. Well, the court essentially said you got to facilitate it. So that just broke before the show. Joining me now, Missouri Senator Eric Schmitt. Senator, well, here we go. We got a massive problem with illegal immigration in the United States. The voters made it clear they wanted Donald Trump to do something about it. Donald Trump tries to take measures, sometimes, I guess, extraordinary measures to keep us safe. And yet the courts say, no, we're going to step in as the commander-in-chief and essentially do your job.
Well, I think that it's important to give context here, Laura, as this is breaking. I just had a chance to review the order before coming on your show, and it's very limited. This guy is deportable. This guy is a gang member. He is an MS-13 member, and they can deport him. They just couldn't deport him to El Salvador, evidently. So at the end of the day, this guy's going to be gone, and he should be gone, and there are hundreds of thousands more like him. This mass deportation effort, the American people, as you said, voted for this. We need more of it. And Judge Boasberg was slapped down earlier this week when he tried to intervene in the core Article 2 powers of the President of the United States. So as all these cases make their way through, the president's well within his authority to do it. In this specific example that just happened here, he's going to get deported, and he should. It just will be somewhere else other than El Salvador.
So he'll be brought back to the United States, kept in immigration custody, presumably, and then deported to his home country? You think that's how it's going to work?
So actually, he's from El Salvador. He had a credible claim under the Biden administration for asylum under evidently a threat from another gang, but he is a hardened criminal. So they can deport him because he's deportable. I mean, this is how ridiculous all this is. He's deportable. They will deport him somewhere else that they just can't actually deport him to El Salvador. So either way, the Trump administration is going to continue this effort. And like I said, there are over 1 million people here with criminal backgrounds that and on the terrorist watch list that the Biden administration let in, whether through a goofy asylum process where they gave him a court date 10 years later, or through this parole process. Either way, they were just trying to allow as many people to come here illegally, 15 to 20 million. So this is going to be methodical. The good news is border crossings are down 95%, but there's a lot more work to do on these actual deportations.
Well, it also broke right before the show, and Doge was tweeting this out as well, that apparently there are 6,300 individuals who were paroled into the United States. That's their only legal status, is that Biden's people thought, oh, let's bring in these people. It turns out these individuals were, of the 6,300 I'm talking about, not the overall graphic, but these individuals were actually on an FBI terrorist watch list. So 6,300 should not have been brought in here, but there was no vetting. So they were on this FBI terror tracking list. So, again, this is what we're learning now about what Biden did to America.
Well, it's worse than that, because these are just the people we know about who were paroled. There's literally tens of thousands of others that came in here illegally on the gotaways. But in this example, it just goes to show the abuse of the Biden administration. The parole process is supposed to be individualized, right? An individual case seeking to come here, somebody wanting to come here, maybe here temporarily, and then they go home eventually, right? Biden used this to parole people from entire countries and kept extending that, violating the law. So this is, again, all this kind of two-step that they used to flood this country through mass migration, through the NGOs who are being funded by USAID. This whole thing is a disaster. But President Trump is bringing order out of the chaos here, and the deportations are going to continue. But this is just another example, Laura. These people came here illegally. They were given parole. They should have been individualized. They weren't individualized, and now they're receiving government benefits. They need to be cut off and sent back.
Yeah, well, again, the Customs and Border Protection, they're getting to the bottom of these hundreds of thousands of people who were flown into the United States. Yeah. Okay, they weren't here. They were flown into the United States, which a lot of Americans don't understand. But again, just so far, they've found 6,300 of them on this FBI terrorist screening list. I mean,
So